Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Probably one of the most unlikeliest fights in the heavyweight division has been made. A clash for May between Christopher Lovejoy and Mahmoud Charr. This, to me, when I saw it, I thought, this isn't real. This isn't happening. This is a circus show, and it won't go ahead. Christopher Lovejoy or Mahmoud Charr or both will not be on the ring on the day that they are going to fight, which is meant to be the 15th of May in Germany. Anyway, what I want to do is get to the announcement by Mahmoud Charr, who's put it on social media with a statement, and then I'll get to a few thoughts, because he does touch on Don King and Trevor Bryan, remembering there was a WBA order for Charr to face Bryan within 120 days of Bryan's win over Bermans-Deverne. That was back in January. So anyway, first things first. So Mahmoud Charr puts this post on social media. See here on screen. The world champion returns. And at this point, Mahmoud Charr is considered by the WBA as a champion in recess. Couldn't get the travel documents to face Bryan in January, and he accused Don King of being behind that. So the WBA pushed Charr to the side, made him a champion in recess, and obviously Bryan ended up fighting Bermans-Deverne. So Charr has said on 15/5/2021, the WBA heavyweight boxing world champion in recess, Mahmoud Diamond Boy Charr, finally steps back into the ring. But it is not as originally planned by the World Boxing Association, WBA, against Trevor Bryan, a repeat of the intrigue initiated by Don King on 29/1/2021. See press release dated 30th of the 1st, 2021. He's referring to a press release which is on the EC Boxing website. He is promoted by Errol Silan Boxing out of Germany. Continues is thereby ruled out. The finish with the often criticised absence from the ring, it is now against the previously unbeaten US-American Christopher Pretty Boy Lovejoy. The Diamond Boy has anything but an easy opponent to face. Lovejoy has 19 knockouts to his credit. On Charr's side, there are 35 bouts, 31 wins, 17 of them by knockout. Charr commented, "It is time to finally get back in the ring. I am in absolute top form. Lovejoy will take the first defeat of his career, and this is just the beginning." And the press release concludes, so this is the English version of it. There is also a German version that he put on social media. So the fight, which will take place in Hamburg at the halls of EC Boxing, is just the start of a great comeback of a world champion who actually never was away. Well, I take issue with the last part, because Mahmoud Charr, Manuel Charr, as he was formerly known as, was parading like a champion for 3 years, not doing anything except showing off the belt, claiming he was a world champion, never defending his title. And he's put some of the blame on Don King and Trevor Bryan being mucked around, but there were also other things outside of the ring issues. They cancelled a fight because there was poor ticket sales. They didn't say that publicly, but that was the word on the street. And also he failed the drug test ahead of what would have been a fight with Fraser Kendo. So he says on the right-hand side of the post, "I'll be back." And then in another post, there is a promo poster, Charr on the left, Lovejoy on the right, obviously, 15th of May. "Some people told me you can't, but I told them always I am," and then some hashtags and other bits and pieces. So it's a bit unclear what really is on the line here for this fight, because he's a champion in recess, so if he's coming back, presumably he's still considered a champion. He's got to be fighting for something, right? So does that mean that they're going to put some meaningless WBA belt on the line here, like an interim title, which was previously held by Trevor Bryan? Oh, the irony in that. But this whole situation, to me, is hilarious. This is going to be a comedy of errors. This fight will not occur. And Lovejoy himself, he has said, "King of the deposit. Sign with Lovejoy Boxing and I'll make sure you get the deposit." So clearly he's already got some money up front to accept this fight. It's not going to go through. At this point, Christopher Lovejoy is nothing but a con man. He is not actually making any moves to fight anyone unless it's for a mega payday. and this fight will not be that. It might be a decent payday, but Lovejoy is making a name of himself on social media and effectively hawking off merchandise and stuff like that. The guy really has a threadbare record and has made no effort to really be fighting. And he had been signed with Don King, and there was all sorts of stuff that's been happening out of the ring. He filed for bankruptcy and had said that he was off contract with King, I think in early May or whatever, but the bankruptcy may have overtaken that. But to be honest, I've stopped really following his social media closely because it's clear there really is no effort or any sort of motivation to do anything except con the public. And I've, for several months now, not been talking about this guy, and I said I wouldn't talk about this guy until there was a fight announced, and we have a fight announced. But the thing is, it's not going to happen. We know this fight is not going to happen. I will buy a couple of t-shirts of anyone's choice if this fight goes ahead. And so if it actually happens, I will do a poll and, names and all that sort of stuff. But we'll get there once this happens, if it happens, because I don't actually think this is going to occur. These two guys have made basically a career in the last 2 or 3 years of really saying a lot but doing little. Mahmoud Charr, even though he blames everyone else, is also, partly responsible for his own out-of-the-ring inactivity and shenanigans that have happened. Christopher Lovejoy has been fighting nobodies down in Mexico and effectively building a name on social media, calling out anyone essentially that is in the heavyweight division that has a name or is a heavyweight of note of some description. Even just a few hours before the postings, when this all sort of broke this news, he was like, my new hit list, and he had Otto Varlin and a whole bunch of other names. The guy's got no will to fight anyone that is halfway credible. This is not going to happen. I'm categorically saying this event, which is basically 1 month away, is not going to happen. But I guess the other thing you have to ask the question about this whole thing with it's going ahead, and they're bringing in Lovejoy and clearly must have paid him a deposit because he's saying he got some money. What happened with Don King? What happened with fighting Trevor Bryan, this is Mahmoud Charr, within 120 days of Bryan's fight? Clearly, Don King has still managed to, outmaneuver Manuel Charr and his promoter, Errol Seelan, behind the scenes. They've managed to get him out of the picture. So I guess you could probably question, well, what's going to happen with Trevor Bryan now? Because ahead of that fight that he had against Berman Stavern, he'd been out of the ring about 2.5 years. So are we going to see another massive period of inactivity where Bryan doesn't defend the belt? I know that there has been a little bit of talk that maybe he could face a guy like Dillian Whyte, who sort of said Trevor Bryan would be easy work and that he wants that fight. He'll relieve him of that title. But let's face it. You get into bed with Don King, bad things are going to happen. If you work with him, it's not going to be smooth sailing. So probably for Char's sake, it's probably good that they're not actually working together. But obviously, something's happened behind the scenes. We're not privy to it. It's sort of murky, and who knows? King's done his behind the scenes dark arts, his organization to get out from under having a fight with Mahmoud Charr, which I think was going to have to be happening by the 30th of May. So clearly not happening. But this fight here, he says, his long criticized absence. And it has been, one of these situations. You can't hold a belt for 3 years and not fight anyone, but then still parade around like a champion. It's embarrassing. Christopher Lovejoy is also just as embarrassing for his antics on social media. I mean, if he had gone through with the Dave Allen fight and beat Dave Allen, he would have actually got some credibility. But until he actually fights someone and actually does something, the guy is just a con man in my eyes, and I will say so. And it was quite funny to me because I retweeted the announcement about this fight on my Twitter, and I said, "What's the bet this fight doesn't happen?" And Christopher Lovejoy liked the tweet. But I guess for him, any publicity is good publicity as he sees it. That's just the sort of guy he is. So I mean, I can't sort of begrudge him the hustle and the effort that he's putting in, but it's well past due that he actually shows us something. Not just, these grainy sort of cell phone footage type highlights against road sweepers down in Mexico that, really these guys are not much chop. But ironically with this fight, which I don't want to sort of get too much into a preview and prediction type thing, but I would say I would heavily favour Mahmoud Charr to spark out Christopher Lovejoy. I just don't think Lovejoy is that good, and the footage which has been running in the background, I think it does demonstrate he's pretty limited. Charr himself is pretty limited, but if he can hang around, gas Lovejoy out, he can take him out. I think Charr would be the favourite. But yeah, I mean, even after this, what would Charr be doing? I mean, clearly they're going to put some sort of belt up, but yeah, I'll wrap it up there. But this fight is not happening. But I did want to comment on this whole situation because it is another bizarre incident in the heavyweight division. This is the WWE of heavyweight boxing. This is what I was just like, man, boxing's becoming a parody of itself. And it was already a little bit sort of on the edge anyway. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.